Hey guys, I'm back with another Beyblade Tournament analysis. Today I'll be analyzing the Carolina's Road to State Clash Ascend event hosted by myself this past weekend. So this is the second Road to State Clash event before the actual State Clash event. And there will be another Road to State Clash event on October 3rd. So if you do want a chance at making the Carolina State team, please come out to these events or really any Beyblade tournament and compete so that you can raise your rank. Alright, so before we jump into this, if you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. Alright, for this event, the top four were arka.paul, RayneAvalon, Robert Lawler, and Fireblader07. So this was a pretty good event. Guilty Longinus came out and a lot of players were actually using it in the first stage, and some of the players were using it in the final stage as well. Now I actually got my Guilty Longinus that morning. However, I didn't open it as I wanted to do the unboxing on the channel for you guys. But yeah, so this first matchup is between Robert Lawler and arka.paul, and I believe this was Robert's second or third tournament. So he did pretty good to actually get into the top 8 for this event. And there was actually a three-way tie for the top seeds in Group B, as this was a group round robin tournament. It was between myself, RayneAvalon, and Robert Lawler. And so Rayne beat both of us, and actually Robert Lawler, he ended up beating me. I did a eeny, meeny, miny, moe to pick my combo, and yeah, he used Guilty Longinus, and yeah, that Guilty Longinus is a pretty decent combo. But yeah, so the combos these two bladers are using, Robert Lawler, he's using Vanish Longinus over Never with armor 0. He's using Roar Bahamut, Giga Drift with armor 10, and he's using Dynamite Belial with that F gear, Tapered bearing, and armor 2. And arka.paul is using Vanish Bahamut with Giga Drift and armor 6. He's using Devil Perseus with that F gear over Mobius and armor 0. And he used Dynamite Belial with the L gear, Blitz, and Metal Xtreme. So yeah, Vanish Longinus over Never -0 was a really good combo. It's the same as I believe 2 tournaments ago, where Crisis Crusher used his Vanish Fafnir. Essentially the same combo, except he used Fafnir instead of Longinus, and it was the combo of the tournament. So this is a really good combo, and I'm seeing more and more bladers use this. So the first matchup is Vanish versus Devil, and a lot of these matches in the top 8s just came down to outspin. There were a few KOs, and as usual, there were some draws that essentially had to be replayed over and over and over. So yeah, for this one right here, this is a pretty simple outspin. Devil gets the point here, and yeah, it's opposite spin, Mobius versus Never. Yeah, and this combo that Arka is using, I actually use this same combo without the F gear, and instead of armor 0, I use armor 7. And I find without the F gear, the combo has a lot more balance and it remains standing towards the end of the match. So yeah, like I said, this just comes down to an outspin. Yeah. And I didn't actually realize that the camera that I was recording on closer to the stadium was actually in the other camera's picture. So yeah, that's interesting. So you can see how I look at all the replays here. So Robert asks for the switch. Arka chooses to stick with his Devil combo, and Arka decides to go to his Roar combo. And Roar actually gets the KO here. So I think Roar is pretty decent at attacking. It does have some pretty interesting points on it. So yeah, I think it can be used as an attack layer. So Arka asks for the switch, and Robert chooses to go to his Vanish, and Arka chooses to switch to his Devil combo, or sorry, remain with his Devil combo. And again, this is going to come down to outspinning and a replay. And his Mobius actually ends up falling over, and there is going to be a long segment here with explanations as to what's spinning, etc. As yeah, a lot of bladers and judges and essentially everyone isn't really sure on the ruling of spinning versus turning versus rotating, etc. So there are parts like Mobius and Zone Dash plus Z or Drift, where if your Beyblade, well, not necessarily Drift, but if your Beyblade falls over, it can still spin in place and still be counted as spinning, but also it can be considered rolling. So you see here, he falls over and Vanish just slightly outspins him as he's falling over. So that point goes to Vanish, and Arca acts for the switch. Robert chooses to, I believe he goes to his Dynamite, and let me see, Arca chooses to go to his Vanish. And Arca, he instead of using Roar, his Roar combo on Drift, he decided to switch it to Vanish. So usually he uses Roar, Bahamut, Giga Drift with Armor 6, but for this tournament he chose to use Vanish, Bahamut, Giga Drift, and Armor 6. And yeah, so this is opposite spin, bearing versus drift. And honestly, from what I've seen, drift is only a little bit better than bearing and opposite spin, but I have seen matches where bearing can outspin drift in opposite spin. Now I think it's obvious that it can outspin it in same spin, but it really depends on the drift you're going against. Really, so. And yeah, Vanish ends up getting the outspin here. I think I actually messed up on the points here. I'm not sure why, but I called it 3-1 there when it should have been 2-2. That does happen. I know it happens to myself. I've seen it happen when I'm playing and other judges say the score. That's just something that happens when you're judging. You can call the wrong score. But yeah, I realized that what the score should be, and everyone else is actually keeping track, as most players keep track of the score themselves. So yeah, Robert, he acts for the switch here, and Arca chooses to stick it out with his Vanish, so Robert chooses to switch to his Vanish. So now it's Never versus Drift, and I've seen Drift beat Never same spin. I've seen Never beat Drift same spin, and I've seen Drift usually beat it if his Arca's Drift. I've seen him beat a few Nevers in same spin. Really, the only thing same spin I've seen him lose to, I mean, he loses to Never here, but is bearing. Though I've seen him beat some very same spin, so it really just depends on the parts. So yeah, this matchup, this comes down to a replay and a lot of questioning of the rules. We kind of go through a length of time explaining what the rules are and trying to point out the difference. And you know what I'll do while this matchup is going and the rules explanation is going on between myself, RayneAvalon, Arca, and Robert, I'll actually state what the rules are. And before that, let's take a look here. So you can see right now, his combo is rolling. So what is spinning? Spinning is if your Beyblade is spinning along the center axis, if you drill a point directly through the center of the core. So an easy way to tell if a Beyblade is spinning is look at the face. If the face is rotating or the core is rotating, then the Beyblade is spinning. Now rolling is going along the stadium floor in really any direction you can roll. Now, can you roll and spin at the same time? Yes. If your Beyblade is spinning, so if the face is turning faster than the Beyblade is rotating across the floor, then your Beyblade is considered to be spinning. Now, if it's rolling along the stadium floor faster than the face is rotating, then it's considered to just be rolling. Now, that is a pretty hard concept to understand. However, if you play Beyblade enough and you see enough of these draws, you can definitely tell the difference between rolling and spinning. Now, what is turning? Turning is if you're looking at this Beyblade exactly like this top down, if you were to drill a point in the center, that would be the axis in which a rotation is considered to be taking place. Turning would be if you flip the Beyblade over and you drilled through the direct center of the Beyblade height-wise. So not straight down, but a horizontal or perpendicular line through where the stadium floor is. So if the Beyblade it's not really spinning, but if it's turning along that axis, or quote-unquote spinning along that axis, it is turning. Now, can a Beyblade be turning and spinning at the same time? Yes, a Beyblade can be turning and spinning at the same time, as you will see here. So let's look at Arka's Beyblade. So it's spinning, and right here, you see it's turning in this direction. So it's coming from here and it's turning this way. So it's hard to do it because this is a 2D. So if I had 3D, you would see the X, Y, and Z. It's going up this way, so it's turning from here to this. However, if you look at the face is still spinning. So right there, it's not spinning anymore. However, when it went into the turn, it was still spinning. As you can see, the face of Bahamut is still in the same position. However, the Beyblade has just turned. So the Beyblade isn't spinning anymore, it's turning. And what happens next is the stadium is, how do you say this? It's sort of like a bowl. So this is up on the bowl, so it will roll down. So it turns and then it rolls down, which you'll see. So it rolls down here. Now, as it's rolling, is it spinning? Well, technically, if you're rolling and spinning, if you're rolling, you're spinning. However, by the WBO rules, you have to be spinning faster than you are rolling. Otherwise, you are no longer considered to be spinning. So if you watch this Vanish here is still spinning. You can look at the face and see it's still spinning. Now, if you look at Bahamut and look at the orientation, it's not going to rotate at all. It's just going to turn. So you see Bahamut is just turning. It's just turning around, so it's no longer spinning. So it went from turning, kind of rolled down here, and then it turned again, and then it's going to roll again. So while it's turning, technically this Vanish here is still spinning. And now you see Vanish, this Vanish is no longer spinning. However, this one, after the turn, it sort of just falls down and hits this Vanish, and yeah, that is technically a rotation there. However, looking at the whole thing, it turned, rolled, turned, and rolled again. So I'll let this play out while I kind of explain this. So yeah, in real time, the question was whether Vanish had spun or rocked, as that was really hard to tell in real time. Now, on the other phone that you see me recording with, in the slow motion, the Vanish turns and stops. So like I showed up here, it turns, falls down, turns again, and falls and lands on it. And it started turning twice before this Vanish ever stopped. So I awarded the point to Robert, and kind of explained the difference between the turn and rotation. Now, something important to mention is a lot of the rules in the rule book, from what I've seen, some can be considered left up to the interpretation of the organizer or the judge, and other rules, I know some people may say they're gray rules, but other rules are very ironclad, and I don't really think there's any gray area in them. For instance, the definition of spinning, which is it has to be visibly rotating to any degree along the axis running directly through the center of the Beyblade, faster than the rotation along the stadium floor. So To me, if the face, just draw a line straight through the face of the Beyblade. If it's rotating along that axis, it is spinning. Now, some people consider rotating or turning spinning. However, I think that issue comes from the definition of the axis through the center of the Beyblade. So is the center axis through the face of the Beyblade, or if you look at the Beyblade as it sits on the stadium floor, is it the perpendicular line through that center axis? So I think maybe some of the rules maybe need to be, I don't know the word, updated, or go into more detail as to what is really intended. As yeah, a lot of this is left up to interpretation, and again, what I just stated here, this is just my interpretation of the rules. I'm sure other judges and organizers also have different interpretations of the rules, especially when it comes to turning versus rotating, etc. So yeah, right here, right now, what's going on is I'm just showing him the replay and explaining the difference. And you can see there on the phone that I'm looking at the replay with, the Vanish does turn and stop. However, the software I use for editing, it does allow me to go a lot slower. So yeah, Robert actually, he ends up getting the point for this one. And Arka is going to ask for the switch, and I believe Robert chooses to stay, and Arka chooses to go with his devil combo. So yeah, this went on for a while, kind of the explanation. And as a player, I understand that, as when you're in a tournament, and especially when you're in the top 4 and you're trying to make it to the finals, a lot of bladers will do whatever they can to win. Now, let me clarify what I mean by that. So Arka, his understanding of the difference of spinning, rotating, etc. is just his understanding of it. And he does mention how certain parts are designed, aka like drift. And yes, drift is designed to keep the Beyblade spinning. However, drift isn't really made to make the Beyblade turn. So Arka, he kind of sees where we're going with the turning, and he accepts the ruling on that. Now, I think Arka, this is genuinely Arka misunderstanding the rule, or maybe me misunderstanding the rule. Either way, he accepts the rules, and I don't think this is Arka trying to what's the word, get ahead, knowing that he may have lost the matches. There are some bladers, their Beyblade visibly stops spinning, and the opponent's Beyblade spins for like 3 to 5 seconds, and they will argue that their Beyblade won. Arka isn't that type of person, and yeah, there's a lot of times, even I believe in this video, because a lot of tournaments we go to, he and I both, if the opponent wins, we'll just say, yeah, that guy got it. So you'll see, I believe you'll see several times in here where he mentions that the opponent got the point, even before we go to the camera for the replay. So I like to always look at the replays regardless. And I want to say Devil wins this matchup. And I think his Devil actually stays standing, whereas previously on his Mobius, he toppled over. So I know my Mobius is a lot more worn than his. And I think that allows it to stand maybe a little bit better. I'm not 100% sure on that. But yeah, you see here, Vanish starts to turn there while Devil was still rotating. So Devil did get the point there. And something I just noticed actually after I posted the video of this is Arka gets the points here, and I believe Robert asked for the switch. However, in the video, it looks like Robert chooses his Beyblade first, and then Arka chooses to stay. Arka had already chosen to stay when, right here, Arka is going to say that he's going to stay, and Robert's going, I guess they get confused on who's actually choosing the switch. So I have to let Robert know that he's choosing the switch, so Robert picks, and Arka reiterates that he's staying. Because when I watched the upload, I was kind of confused on actually what had happened here. So yeah, Roar will actually end up getting the point here. Yeah, the first matchup, it got a I don't want to say lucky KO, as I do see Roar on Drift getting quite a bit of KOs, at least at the tournaments I've been to. It can definitely KO. And actually, I think Arka mentions, if you listen. Yeah, so I just said that looked like Roar, and Arka said, yeah, that looked like Roar to me as well. So this is what I'm saying. Arka, he will point out also when he thinks the opponent won. So yeah, I just wanted to make that clear. So yeah, Roar gets the point here after I look at the replay just to verify that it did end up outspinning, as it is lower than the double on Mobius combo. However, it was still spinning even when it was underneath it. So Arka asks for the switch, and Robert chooses to stick with his Roar combo, and Arka chooses to go to his Vanish combo. And something to mention, if you look at how Robert's launching, I don't think he's launching to try to get his Roar combo to go into the center. He's launching straight down, which can make Drift Tornado stall a lot depending on how worn it is, but he's not really trying to get it into the center. So you see here, he goes into a Tornado stall, and yeah, he just ends up going out. Arka is very good at keeping his drift in the center. So Arka gets the point there, and Robert asks for the switch. Arka chooses to stick to his Vanish, and Robert chooses to go to his Vanish. So do I think sticking with Vanish was a good idea or not for Arka? Well, Arka is very good with drift. Yeah, I think for Arka, that is a good choice. He was really just starting to, at least from what I know, starting to learn how to launch with Xtreme. So he wasn't too confident in that. And I probably wouldn't have switched that combo in anyway. As far as, let's see, Devil on Mobius, yeah, he can win, but yeah, I wouldn't have switched that either, as there was a Dynamite on Bearing, even though it was Tapered Bearing. So yeah, I think that might have been his best choice. But yeah, Robert ends up getting the win here, and Robert will go on to the finals. So the next matchup is Fireblader versus RayneAvalon. And Rayne is a good player. I like the tournaments that Rayne is at, is a lot of the combos he picks or that he chooses to use are very different. And I honestly like seeing the combos that he brings to tournaments. So Fireblader is using Roar Bahamut Giga Drift with Armor 2, Dynamite Belial with that F Gear, Nexus, Mobius, and Armor 6, and he's using Guilty Longinus Karma with Destroy Dash and Armor 3. Rayne was using Roar Longinus over Venture with that V Gear and Armor 7. He used Guilty Fafnir with Metal Xtreme, and he used Vanish Bahamut, Never with Armor 6, I believe. So this first matchup, and on Guilty he used Armor 0. So this first matchup is Dynamite versus Guilty. So I liked this Guilty combo. And yeah, he's using Karma as well. I believe I forgot to say Karma. I like the idea behind this. However, I don't think Rayne was too familiar with launching Xtreme or rubber drivers. I mean, he is tilting on his launch, as you should, but there's a thing such as over tilting or under tilting when it comes to rubber drivers. You really have to get the perfect tilt. So you see, he goes into this sort of tornado stall, and when he makes contact, he does kind of butterfly, but at this point here, it's actually, I shouldn't say it's too late, as I lost to Robert Lawler, and his guilty had like 0 stamina. He KO'd my Tempest, so yeah. So that first point goes to Dynamite. Rain asks for the switch, and Fireblader, he chooses to switch into his guilty combo, and so Rain switches to his Dynamite combo. So Fireblader, at least with Rage, he was really good at launching Rage, stock Rage. He was really good at that, and it seems he is still pretty good with using this new Rage. However, I think the Karma kind of takes away from the launching or the tilt that he could get on the original Rage. Even though 3A will scrape too, but he could get a much better launch with Rage 3A than he does with this Guilty Karma Destroy Dash. As with Rage, he was always butterflying. That was actually a really good hit, regardless of how he launched it. So Fireblader gets the point there, and Rain asks for the switch. Fireblader, of course, is going to stick with Guilty, and Rain is going to switch over to his Roar combo. So at this point, Rain has shown, or is going to show, Fireblader all of his combos and give him all of the details on how he is launching his combo. So do I think he should have switched to Roar? Maybe, or tried his Guilty against that Guilty, honestly. Either way, he's going to get the point, as Roar is really good at resisting KOs. I'm not sure if I would have tried Roar or if I would have tried my Guilty first. Actually, Rain is using Guilty in high mode, so yeah, that was an interesting choice. So Rain gets the point there, and Fireblader asks for the switch. Rain will choose to stick to his Roar combo, and Fireblader will choose to switch to his Dynamite. So Rain is, as you can see, he's using Venture with that V gear. Now I use that on in the Gauntlet, and I like it. However, mine always goes out of control for some reason. It just goes into tornado stall just like that, and kind of ricochets off of whatever it touches. So yeah, that's sort of exactly what happens in the combo versus when I'm playing for fun. So Rain asks for the replay, and essentially the exact same thing is going to happen again. Yeah, he's just ricocheting off of that Dynamite. And again, I don't know if Rain is frustrated or not, but he asks for another replay. And if I were him, I would have asked for switches every time I lost, as switches give you an advantage. If you're losing, I think I've said this before, if you lose, unless you lost because you messed up on your launch and you know exactly what you messed up on your launch and you can fix it, I would always personally ask for a switch, as you have the advantage on the switch, so you might as well use that. Especially after losing twice to this combo, I would have asked for the switch. So yeah, Fireblader ends up winning this, and he's going to go to the finals, and Rain will face ARka.paul in the 3rd place matchup. So the combos these two are using, Arka, this time he's using Vanish Bahamut, Giga Drift with Armor 6, Double F Gear Perseus with that Over Mobius and Armor 0, and he's using Dynamite Belial with that L Gear, Blitz, and Metal Xtreme. And Rain, he's using the same combos. He's using the Roar Longinus, Over Venture with that V Gear, Armor 7. He's using Guilty Fafnir with Karma and Metal Xtreme and Armor 0. And he's using Vanish Bahamut with Never and Armor 6. So this first matchup is Dynamite versus Roar. And you'll see here, Roar is just way too heavy for Dynamite. You see Dynamite hit it and Roar barely moved. I mean, it went over here to the edge of the stadium, but compared to the impact that Dynamite felt, Roar didn't fare nearly as much. So Arka asks for the switch, And Rain, he chooses to actually he chooses to stay. Yeah, he stays for this one, and Arca switches into his Devil combo. Yeah, for a second I thought he switched into his guilty combo, but he actually chose to stick with his horror combo. And yeah, so this is going to come down to stamina. And it is same spin. Venture with Giga versus Mobius. So yeah, Mobius isn't a driver that most think is good same spin, but Mobius is pretty good same spin if you have a fresh one. So Rain asks for the switch. Arca chooses to stick it out with his Devil, and so Rain chooses to go with his guilty. You'll see here, guilty just bounced off. That, if I was Rain, I would have been so annoyed with that. So Rain asks for a replay, and I probably would have done the exact same thing. I would have been so mad at that that bounce off. And yeah, you see he's launching it in a way where it's not butterflying. However, I think this is the match where it kind of proves my point that even when it's low on stamina, it can still KO. So it does have a decent amount of stamina, but that was barely a hit, and it KO'd that Devil combo. So Arca asks for the switch, and Rain chooses to stick it out with his guilty. So Arca chooses to go to his Vanish combo. And against guilty, yeah, I'd say same spin, especially if it's on, actually it depends on when it's on. This is on Metal Extreme, it is in high mode, so I would chance it with Vanish. I would chance it. Especially seeing how Rain is launching his guilty, he's not really getting that butterfly straight off. He's more tornado stalling than anything. And it's in high mode, which, depending on the combo, is really a disadvantage to that combo itself. And again, Arca's Vanish is Vanish Bahamut to Giga Drift with armor 6. Yeah, so if you look at how he's holding the launcher, it looks like it's tilted, but it's not really that tilted. So yeah, that's unfortunately a self KO, which is a point. So Arca gets that point, and Rain will ask for the replay. And he'll ask for a replay 2 more times, or 1 more time. So yeah, for this, guilty in real time stood there so long that I wasn't sure if it actually got KO'd prior to the Vanish combo getting KO'd, as it just sit on the edge for a very long time. But looking at the replay, Vanish did get the point, and Rain will ask for another replay. So if I were Rain, I definitely would not have asked for another replay. I mean, yeah, he's at a major disadvantage. I'm not sure if he was just like, it's whatever at this point, or if he was just frustrated, or if, yeah, I'm not sure. If I were him, I would have asked for a switch. After the first matchup, I would have asked for a switch, because I wouldn't have betted on guilty KOing Vanish. Vanish can absorb a lot of that impact. Like look at guilty's hitting it. Well, there it nudged a little bit, but a lot of the times that guilty is hitting it, it's not really doing anything to Vanish. So Arca wins this and ends up getting 3rd place. And the final matches is, of course, Fired Later versus Robert. So to go over the combos these two are using again, Fireblader is using Roar Bahamut to Giga Drift with armor 2. He's using Dynamite Belial with that F gear Nexus, Mobius and armor 6, and he's using Guilty Longinus with Calmer, Destroy Dash and armor 3. And Robert Lawler, he's using that Vanish Longinus with Over, Never, and armor 0. He's using Roar Bahamut to Giga Drift with armor 10, and he's using Dynamite Belial with that F gear, Tapered Brain, and armor 2. And the first matchup is Fireblader's Dynamite versus Robert's Vanish. So I have to say, I do like this Vanish combo. I like it a lot. I liked it when I first saw Crisis Crusher use it. I'm not really one to use combos that others are using. And if I do try to switch them up a little bit, maybe switch out the armors and the chips, etc. But to me, that is still considered using the original combo, no matter what the variation of the combo is. So I prefer to try to find combos myself, or try to use combos that I come up with. Now, if there is a combo that is just extremely good, and it's kind of one of those combos that you have to use it if in your deck, I don't really have a problem with using it, but I do try not to use it. So if you look at my deck, a lot of the combos are just combos that I sort of come up with to use. So Dynamite gets the point there, and Robert asks for the switch. Fireblader, he chooses to switch to Guilty. I'm not sure why he switched to Guilty, but he does. And so Robert chooses to switch to his Vanish combo. And if I look at the combos, I'm trying to figure out why Fireblader switched to Guilty. Maybe he was worried about the Baron outspinning his Mobius. That is fair to be worried about that. Yeah, that is something to be worried about. Yeah, at the time I was really trying to figure out, I was like, he has the advantage, so it might benefit him to just stay. However, yeah, he switched. And yeah, again, Vanish is going to just eat up those hits from Guilty the majority of the time. So Robert gets the point here, and Fireblader asks for the switch, and Robert chooses to switch to his Roar combo, and I'm not sure why Robert was switching either. And so Fireblader chooses to go back to his Dynamite combo. And again, if I look at the combos, honestly, I think Vanish Longinus has an advantage on all of these combos. I think it does. The only one that might beat it is that Baron combo, but I think Vanish is a safe bet to keep in. That roar on Drift can be beat depending on what combo the opponent is using. But yeah, either way, Robert gets the point here, and Fireblader asks for the replay, and there are going to be several draws actually. So yeah, let's see if I remember them all. So this ends up being a draw, and yeah, again, Robert, he's not really launching the drift combo in a way to get it to stay in the center. He's sort of launching straight down, and I imagine his drift isn't really that worn, otherwise it would be self-KOing like crazy. His is managing to stay in. So that there was visibly a straight draw, and I went to the replay just to be 100% sure and show either one of them if they wanted to see it, but visually that was a straight draw to me. So again, they're going to do a replay, and just to reiterate the WBO rules, after 3 draws it goes down to the video review protocol, in which you need multiple judges taking a look and sort of deciding who the winner is together. So yeah, again, he launched it straight down. He doesn't get KO'd. He hits the side of the wall a few times, or the side of the pocket a few times, but he doesn't actually go into the pocket and hit that back wall. So this one here, in real time, it looked like Dynamite may have stopped, as there is a slight pause, and I wasn't sure, so I looked at the replay. And looking at the replay, it was indeed another draw. So yeah, I was expecting this to be another draw as well. I mean, Baron, opposite spin, Baron and drift. Like I said, Baron is good. Baron is really good. And actually, sorry, it's not Baron, it's Mobius. So opposite spin, Mobius versus drift. they're essentially the exact same driver. And Roar actually ends up winning this one, and I want to say he visibly, the Roar visibly ends up getting the point here. Let's see. Yeah, by a long slot that Mobius fell over. So Fireblader asks for the switch, and Robert chooses to go to his Vanish, and so Fireblader chooses to go to his Dynamite. Yeah, this is what I was saying earlier. I think Vanish is a safe switch in, but you may have to be worried about that Mobius. If that Mobius can stay upright, then I think 90% of the time it's going to beat that effort. As the Vanish is just going to eventually fall over. Unless you have a very interesting Never in which it can just stay standing. That would be interesting to see. So yeah, Dynamite ends up getting the point here, and Robert asks for the switch, and Fireblader chooses to stick it out with Dynamite, so then Fireblader chooses to go back to his Roar combo. And given how he made the Mobius combo topple over previously, I think switching into his Roar combo, his Roar and Drift, is definitely a good choice. If you want to try to knock it out or make it topple. I believe Robert light launches too. Let me see. Oh no, he hard launched. Yeah, he got that KO. Pretty good KO. So Fireblader asks for the replay, and I believe it's another KO actually. Yeah. KO, but Dynamite got the point that time. So Robert asks for the replay this time. And if I were Robert, I would have asked for the switch, as Robert has the advantage. He's already up for the 3, so he can ask for the switch on the advantage to try to get that point easily. So he's really just doing an unnecessary risk here, and he lost the point. So yeah, that was really unnecessary. So he asks for the switch now, and Fireblader, for whatever reason, chooses to go to Guilty. Now I know he's good at launching on the straight dash. Honestly, I think he's better at launching Rage. That's just my personal opinion, as I've seen him launch Rage 3A the straight dash, and he's really good at launching that, and he typically gets a KO against whatever he's going against, if they're not sure how to play against Rage. But yeah, on the switch in, when he has that Vanish that can absorb all that impact, I would not have done that. And he ends up going into a Tornado Stall here, which I don't think I've really ever I've never seen him go into a Tornado Stall using Rage 3A, honestly. I think he gets that flower pattern and kind of sticks with it. So yeah, he Tornado Stalled here, and yeah, he's not going to get the point there. So Robert Lawler, I'm gonna say his second or third ever tournament, he ends up getting the win here. So yeah, overall, this was a very good tournament in my opinion. If you like these videos, be sure to like, subscribe, and all of that other good stuff. Thanks.